You may or may not be aware of this, but a few years ago in the New York Times, there was an article that quoted a survey that was done about people who wanted to write. And in this survey, the New York Times said that 81% of Americans believed they had a book inside them. Aristotle believed that to live a full and complete life, every human being needed to do three things. Number one, build a home. Number two, raise a child. Number three, write a book. Write a book. Now, why would Aristotle believe this? Why would he see writing as such a significant part of life? Notice he did not say, publish a book. He said, write a book. Aristotle believed that writing was such an important experience, part of the human experience, because of the fact that he realized when a person wrote a book, he or she also birthed themselves, their spiritual and expressionistic selves. So how does that all tie back to the fact that so many of us want to write? Well, I think life's a heck of a lot more than just buying a home, owning a car, and raising children. I think each one of us come into this life with some very, very significant messages we're meant to share. Now in our culture, the American culture, we're not really very good at nurturing the expressive abilities of our children. We teach them to seek the proper jobs, the proper social groups, to seek retirement. But very rarely do we ever ask them, what is your soul saying to you? And what is it that you're meant to share here while you're here on this planet? So what happens with us is we have a thing called a midlife crisis, which is when we get old enough that we can no longer physically hold back the divine purpose inside of ourselves. So most of us don't seek our divine expressive selves as Americans until we're in midlife. And usually by the time we get to midlife, it's a little bit too late to start the ballet career. So most people turn to writing. That's why writing's so important. That's because it becomes a mainframe, the art form that we can all follow through on, that enables us to be who we are, become who we are, and express what it is we're meant to say as human beings. So that's why you want to write. That's why so many people want to write. So what is the right reason to write? We've been told as writers that we should always write to our audience. I'm in complete agreement with that. However, I prefer to define our audience a little bit differently than most people do. Most people, when they say their audience, they're thinking of the people outside themselves. The audience I believe we write for as writers is the audience of us. We write for ourselves. Just like you would not be able to finish a book if it became boring and you were trying to read it. You would not be able to finish writing one if it was boring and you were unable to write it. We initially write our books for ourselves, and that's very important for you to understand. You're initially writing this book for you. How then does a book become a bestseller? Well, there's probably a lot of other people on this planet, just like you, who aren't writing their books could benefit from yours. And when you write that book for you, you're talking to a certain part of yourself that is seeking and longing and alive in other people. All books become bestsellers when they do become bestsellers by the spreading of the word of mouth about the significance of a book. That significance starts on a very personal level on your relationship with you and your book and what it means to you to write it. So my feeling, quite frankly, on a personal level is you don't have to be a published author to be a successful author. Because the benefits you derive from writing are so deep and so personal that if you sold 20 million books, it would never come close to the value that you got as an individual from writing your book. So the right reason to write is for you. Do it for you. Do it for all the people around you that you love, that you want to share yourself with, who they want to have you shared with them. But write for you. You're your audience. Don't worry about influencing people. Worry about the book influencing you and you becoming who you really want to be. That is the right reason to write.